Welcome once again to the Sage, and thank you for being with us. Your presence means a lot, and we are deeply humbled and grateful for the months you've been with us on this show. We look back on the Sage and we're actually quite excited. It's been over 1.5 years, and we keep going with you, our viewers, that make it all worthwhile. Thank you so much. The past few weeks have been intense. Of necessity, it is so because we are a part of this country. We love this country. Everything we do is for the good of our young people, the good of our country. And so we've recorded several episodes over the past year where we called for action, we called for coming together as one to elect the right type of leadership. We called for people coming out en masse to vote. And we were a living witness and participant of our election. Many of us were shocked, some of us exulted, because in an election, in a way, it's inevitable that there will be winners and losers. But in the end, the primary call which we've put out has been on the need to build our country and turn it into the great country it should be, that it really is. And so that remains the primary call. Yes, the elections have come and gone. And so in the last 2 episodes, we looked at that election reflectively. And we celebrated the achievements of that election. Yes, there were many. We talked about the unprecedented turnout and the fact that, in our opinion, it was probably the greatest act of patriotism this country has seen in recent times. And so, moving on from that story, we come back to the primary reason for which we all indeed came out to vote. The need to make our country the great country it should be. The need to work together to ensure that we all benefit from our common bounty. Our beloved country is so richly endowed. That endowment should affect each and every one of us to the extent possible. There's absolutely no reason why so many of us should be living below the poverty line. Our young people are immense in number. Our young people have so much potential. We need to ensure, to work together, that our great country actually delivers. And so we need to work towards our common good. That is the only important objective. So the elections have come and gone, but our core reason for living continues to be paramount and continues to exist. We need to now move on and continue the work of building a great nation. For us on the Sage, we ask you to join us as we look at certain sectors or areas of our life as a country and discuss candidly with many of our viewers who would indeed come on set to air their opinions about what we should do starting from today to make the required change and impact in our country. Examples of those sectors would include areas like business, education, government indeed, and leadership, religion, What role should religion be playing? Family, the core unit of our existence. Young people as the collective majority in this country. Art and media. So many important areas that need to be thought through, discussed, and strategized. Using each sector to contribute to concretely ensure that we are all moving towards a great country that should be our heritage. And so in that collective effort, within the context of this our call and forthcoming discussions, we on the Sage felt that the natural starting point was indeed to revisit the issue of our young people, the youths in this country. Let me remind you again about why this particular demographic segment is so crucial. Young people under the age of 40, 45 constitute probably at least 80% of the population of this country. They are our greatest resource. This country belongs to them. It's common logic. They're the huge majority. Today and tomorrow belongs to them because they are the ones that will be alive to experience it. So the country is theirs. But even as we discussed last episode with you, we talked about their unprecedented achievements during the 2023 election. Let me take you back to that. We witnessed, as never before, their amazing interest and participation prior, during, and which indeed of necessity must continue after our historic election. Of the 93% of people who collected PVCs in 2023, 75% of these were young people. But even more astonishing is the figure that from INEC that does say that 78.7% of these 75% of young people were first-time voters. That is an amazing statistic. That proves their interest, their unusual, their uncommon interest in this election. And it wasn't just that they came out to vote or that they registered to vote. We witnessed youth participation in amazing ways during the election, and indeed their turnout as we voted. Prior to the election, youth movements sprang up all around the country. These movements knew no barriers. There were no tribal differences. There were no geographical differences. There were no social class differences. Young people rose almost totally as one, with the common intent of ensuring, doing their own bit to ensure that we have the right type of leadership. You all know examples of those movements. I think perhaps the most notable is the obedient movement, as they call themselves. Yes, they were there all over the country. They were there also supporting all the various political parties that there are. But not just an issue of movements or an issue of their recognizing the fact that for the very first time, they felt hope. Hope that their participation, their votes could possibly make a difference. That they could have a tangible say and sway of the leadership that is put in place for our great country. We also witnessed many of the activities that continue. Many of them have designed apps and all kinds of collation materials towards ensuring that the results transmitted or recorded are indeed monitored and openly accountable to the people. They continue to work. Yes, I can also say, sadly, that perhaps the greatest disappointment may be with the elections, maybe with this young group. But passionately, personally, as a sage, from my heart, I say, don't be discouraged. Your actions in 2023 were indeed patriotic. Very impressive. Young people, to my mind, perhaps more than any other group or any other sector, achieved most in this election. But having said that, this is a beginning, not the end. What we need to do together, but particularly the young people, is to work to continue the work to ensure a great country. And so for us of the Sage, as we discuss the various areas, the various sectors, we thought a natural starting point was to discuss the youth perspective, the youth segment, the youth group. And so I have with me, very, very privileged to say so, two extremely intelligent, wonderful young people to share their own thoughts as they also reflect, I'm sure, the many, many young people out there who have so much to say, who have so much to share as we continue our journey to progress. So do stay with us. We'll be back in the next segment and you will meet these amazing young people. I thank you. Welcome back to the Sage and thank you for being with us. You won't regret it. Our discussion in this next few episodes is extremely important. For me, as the Sage, for me as a human being, as I've walked all my life, as a mother and a grandmother, we discussed today the population demographics that I think is the most important of all. Our young people. They are our hope. They are our dreams. They are our ambitions. They are our today and our tomorrow. And so I feel amazingly blessed to be able to open the discussion to two truly, truly amazing young people. Amazing because in their quiet way, they do their own very best in their society, in their lives. In quiet ways, sometimes you won't see them, but who have impressed me personally by their deep thoughts, their passion, their feeling, their overall sense of purpose and good. And so when they accepted to be on the set and share candidly with you, I was humbled and excited. Please join me as I welcome on the Sage today two young people, very much like many of you watching us today. Let me start from my extreme left by introducing Florence Nwachukwu. Florence, you got married recently. Have you changed Nwachukwu so that your husband doesn't sue me?
It's fine anyway.
Florence is very dear to me. When indeed C4C set off, she was part of my team and did a great deal of good work in helping other young people like herself prosper. She led our entrepreneurship project. Thank you for coming back to us and for indeed accepting to talk and share your own feelings.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
And next to her is a gentleman who is a regular culprit on this show. Many of you who have watched The Sage have indeed heard him speak. Mr. Eric Ochibo, the CEO of St. James Pond.
Thank you very much, sir.
Eric, in my youth panel, I say is the old man in the young group. He is often the sound of wisdom and, conservatism and so on, but we like a mixture. So Florence, my dear, the challenge to you is to don't become a conservative like him. Speak with the passion that comes from your young, years. Part of what you can see, obviously, that we enjoy on The Sage is the fact that we have with us, by virtue of the work we do, which is for young people, a large pool of young people to always call upon, to share their views, to educate us, and indeed to come on the set when we ask them. They never say no to me. If they do, they know they will break my heart. So thank you once again. Thank you for being here on The Sage. And we're going to really, really enjoy having you. And so you listened to me as I did the introduction. And I talked about, from my perspective, what I thought were the huge achievements young people recorded in the recently concluded elections. I'm going to start by asking, do you agree? Is there more you can add to that? You're perfectly free to disagree. I don't mind. But these were the things I thought of. But are there other things you want to add to it as you feel is your contribution as a block group in what happened a few months ago?
Okay.
Go ahead.
You go first, sir.
Okay.
Ladies
So
first.
I would say that I haven't been more proud to be a young person in Nigeria. And this was a landmark event. This was, an epic display of young people and their passion and youth, display of youth, basically. And it was phenomenal to see the fearless demonstration, the passion, the unity in purpose, with which young people came out en masse in this past election. Whether it be their interest at the polls and the debates, online and offline, they're coming out to register, which, of course, the numbers are the highest so far, going back to 2011, 2015, 2019, and now. They're coming out that very day of election. Their interest in joining political parties, the courage, the resilience displayed at their polling units. I mean, it was inspirational to see. It was
I agree
amazing.
with you entirely.
Yeah.
It was a joy. It was a joy.
Yeah.
Which I hope we haven't killed.
Well,
don't mind me. I'm pulling your legs. Eric, what about you?
Okay, for me, this election showed that a revolution is going on in this country.
exactly.
I love that revolution.
It shows a revolution is going on in this country, and Nigerian youth have seen enough shege, and they're trying to change it with a revolution without blood. Mm-hmm. And so we've seen the young Nigerian people at their most organized level. Mm-hmm. You see, it has come to a stage where we've decided that, look, we have to take our destiny in our hands. A study by the National Institute for Legislative Studies and Democratic Studies came up and said, of the 15,303 contestants in the last election, 4,374 were young Nigerians, young people. And I don't think we've had it this well. Mm-hmm. So besides participating in voting and electoral process, we are also getting the tickets of political parties to get involved, to sit right on the decision-making table, the table where decisions are made. And so for me, a lot has changed. And though there were some disappointments at the end of the day, but what has started already is a train that has taken off.
Yes.
Yes.
And I would like to describe that train like a train that does not have brakes until it gets to destination. There is no stopping. There is no stopping. It's a train without brakes, and it's moving to crush whatever stands in front of it. Things like corruption, ethnicity, bigotry, whatever has kept Nigeria where it has been all these years, that has made us not to be so interested. It is time for those things to give way. And then I will suggest for whosoever is behind such theories to get into this train of new Nigeria, because whether you like it or not, it's just a matter of time.
Happening.
This is just step one. Things are changing, and they to change very soon.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love the two interventions, There's no turning back. I had released a previous episode in which I did indeed title No Turning Back. We have made huge gains. Yeah. We are on the right track, and there's no turning back. Yeah. It is a train that is bent on getting to this destination. A great Nigeria for all of us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, great. I think we're all agreed. And before we go into more other substantive issues, let me turn to both of you and say, share with us your election experience. Everybody, or most of us who are adults did participate in one way or the other. We lived through it, we have experience. Let me start with you, Eric. Can you share your election experience with us?
For me, I had a very beautiful election experience. Besides my polling unit, I went to a lot of polling units as well.
You okay? You were that interested in going around there?
To see what's happening, to see the involvement of young people. And I was happy to see that as early as 8 young Nigerians were already out waiting for electoral officials to come to the polling unit. And one particular event strikes me is the fact that the Nigerians who came out to vote were very, very circumspect of everything that happened at the polling unit. They were very vigilant, and I think I like that very well. To the extent that for the logos on the ballot paper, some logos don't have the name of the political party. For instance, maybe you have a logo for the All Progressive Congress, APC, which is the broom. They have APC written under it. Some other political parties just have their logos without the abbreviation of the political party written. Nigerians were able to pick that up and complained to the electoral officials, and they have to explain that, this is what the political party brought. This is how they wanted it on the ballot box, on the ballot paper. You see, so the interest we are seeing now in election and electoral process, we've never seen it this way. And I would like to always attribute it to the fact that we have seen a lot of shege, especially in recent years, and the need to change this narration has arrived. So every single opportunity, the meticulousness of Nigerians right now to ensure we pick out every pin in the process, the electoral process. Everybody's so interested, everybody's so involved. So and that for me,
monitoring. Yes. Doing their best to ensure that procedures are followed.
And you see in other places where Nigerians revolted, for instance, people have not finished voting, perhaps it's getting late. The electoral officers who want to go, they say, no, you have to sit down here. In fact, there's a place in Durumi here, as at 11 p.m. to 12 midnight, they went home and brought their generators, put it on, and Oga officer, they say they're hungry. They want to bring them food to eat because we want to vote, we want to participate, and this is something we never saw before. So for me, it's a whole lot that is happening, and it's happening very fast, and it's a joy that we are seeing this happen. And it's giving us the confidence that the new Nigeria we deserve is close. It's closer than we think.
That's amazing. And I want to highlight the fact that you actually then kept going from polling unit to polling unit because you were that interested. You wanted to see what was happening. For you, it was important that you wanted to reassure yourself that indeed the voting was happening. And so that is great. That is great. Florence, what about you?
Well, I didn't go from polling unit to polling unit, but I was an avid online observer and advocate. So even the day before, I hardly slept. I think about 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. I sent you one of these videos, and it's like, is it that you're not sleeping or you're already at the polling unit? I spent the whole night the week before sending out videos or even the video on the the logo issue, and I sent it out to say, this is what it is. It's just because the logo doesn't have. So I was doing all of that sensitization online, and then on the day of elections, I was like this on the TV screen and on my phone screen, morning till night, following, observing what was going on in different polling units in different states. And it was amazing to see, like I said before, the courage, the resilience that people showed. It was raining heavily, for example, in Abuja, but people stayed. They were drenched, they were hungry, they were tired. First of all, the INEC officials coming late while people were already waiting as early as 6 a.m., 7 a.m. in different polling units. But they waited. They said, today we die here. We are here. We're not going anywhere. So when they got hungry, many people took people and I said, I have food. Do you want food? They went to their houses and brought food, brought water, even took things as they went to the polling units. I remember a friend of mine, her sister fell ill. I think the rain beat her and she started to shiver. And a stranger took her to her house and clothed her and, balmed her and all of that. And so it was just amazing to see, and the influence that the organic movement that started sort of online how it had spread across Nigeria and evolved, until that day. So it was beautiful.